Hi, Dave Roscoe here. It is Monday, July 14th, 2025. And as I mentioned last week, I want to talk to you a little bit about 137 Ventures and their relationship to Pi. There's been a lot said about it, and we're going to set the record straight. There's a Crypto Times article discussing the current price pressures for the Pi network, and we'll talk about that as well. And I also have an update on my anti-scammerbot. But first, the metrics. The circulating supply is 7.69 billion Pi, and there were 18,588 user accounts migrated yesterday, totaling 4.7 million Pi. There is currently 61.2 million Pi in the Pi Foundation migration wallet, and migrations are happening this morning. Now, I may stop reporting on that just because they seem to be happening every morning now. Maybe it's more newsworthy to report when they stop, but they've been going continuously for many days now, albeit at low numbers. The migrated unlock rewards is at 2.48 billion Pi, with 29 million Pi unlocked over the weekend and now free to be traded on the open markets. Looking at the price action, the Pi coin is currently trading at 46 cents, which is down 33% from 0.32% from this time yesterday. The market cap is at $3.6 billion, which is down 0.27%. The daily trading volume is at $79.85 million, which is up 23% from this time yesterday. And it's in case it's not obvious, take a look at Pi. I mean, we had this big peak here. This is a 7-day, right? We had the peak here, and then we're down here, and it's just been kind of hovering right around the 45 to 47 cent mark ever since. And depending who you talk to, they don't see any reason for this situation to change. But I don't know. We'll see. I didn't get a chance to talk to Bullish Babe this morning on her chart session, so I have no external insight on what the Pi coin is likely to do, and honestly, we never really do. But I will say this, we've got quite a few relatively short candles, and that is pretty much an indication that there's not a lot of interest right now, but we'll see. Anything can happen. So this Crypto Times article is a good segue because it talks about the Pi network's current price situation. The headline reads, Pi network struggles to hold ground as CEX inflows rises. And what they're saying here basically is that more Pi coin are entering the market for trading, and that's putting more price pressure, and not necessarily just the unlocks, because that always puts some level of pressure. But in the past, that's been mitigated by the fact that a lot of those coins don't actually go onto the exchanges. Well, that's been changing recently. More people are willing to sell their Pi rather than hold it, and that's putting a lot more pressure on the price. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I think, for the most part, a lot of people are kind of getting tired of the Pi network. The lead up to Pi 2 day showed no pump whatsoever. And in fact, we're now down to some of our lowest prices since this coin came out. So I think a lot of people are kind of just tired and fatigued over the Pi network story. And I'm not. I mean, I'm still going to be here every day telling you whatever it is there is to tell you. But I'm just giving you an insight as to what's happening right now with the market and why the behavior of the Pi coin has changed. Now, don't get me wrong. This could change in an instant with one news story that blows everything out of the water. So don't think that this is a permanent thing. There's no such thing as momentum, right? We have inertia. And as soon as the inertia changes, things can rapidly change, good or bad. The Pi coin is on the path of a breakdown as it is constantly trading under a bearish influence. By recording constant lower lows, the Pi network price is struggling. This shows a decline in the hype of this altcoin. That's what I just said, right? Moreover, the CEX wallet balance increased inflow, suggesting rising sell order pressure. Again, just means more people are now willing to actually sell their Pi and have given up on holding it for higher future value. The Pi Network Pi token is experiencing bear pressure through positive net inflows are witnessed in a number of centralized exchanges. The buying interest can be seen on the exchanges like BitGet, MEXC, and Gate.io. And I don't know if you can see this, but I don't know if this really shows what they say it shows. The only way to get real info on inflow is just to look at the history. This is just a snapshot of the current state. If you know the history, you can kind of gauge it, but I don't know. The daily chart of the token on the OKX exchange shows that it has remained at a downtrend and had peaked in March. Today, the Pi token has a price of 46 cents with an intraday drop of 1.72%. The Pi coin has experienced a rejection at 51 cents repeatedly. This shows a strong selling pressure for the altcoin at that level. These market sentiments hint at a bearish angle in the shorter time frames. The relative strength index, or RSI, is at almost 38.66, highlighting a weak bullish momentum for the altcoin in the market. Moreover, with the current situation, it could possibly retest its oversold range soon. The moving average convergence divergence, or MACD, shows a neutral action in the daily time frame. Adding to this, the MACD line as well as the signal line is hovering below zero, indicating the presence of selling pressure in the market. If the bearish pressure intensifies, the token may test the lower support at 25 cents, 10 cents, or even lower in the upcoming time. However, a bullish action may push the price towards its upper price target of 85 cents in the upcoming time. In other words, we have no clue what's going to happen. Oh yes, this is typical. So let's talk about 137 Ventures. There's been a lot of hype about this particular company and their relationship with the Pi network and what it means. And I've heard some rumors that say that the Pi network received $15 billion in funding from 137 Ventures. And I will tell you that that's not the case. They received nowhere near that sum. And that particular rumor started from a misinterpretation of some published data on a tracking website. In reality, the Pi network, despite not actually making this very public, did actually raise seed money when they got started. And that's very common when you start a business. Seed money, a lot of times for crypto, is in the form of an ICO, but Pi Network chose not to do that, instead going directly to investors. And they did have a seed round, and some of you who are business savvy may be surprised to know that they only raised $800,000. Now, that, to you and me, that may seem like a lot of money, but when you're starting a business, especially one like this, it is not. It is very common for seed funds or funding rounds for seed capital to go into the multiple millions and sometimes even billions. So an $800,000 seed round is very modest, and it wasn't all just from 137 Ventures. There are 3 investor partners in the Pi network. And that's obviously 137 Ventures, Ulu Ventures, and Designer Fund. And they've all contributed to this $800,000 figure. So even 137 Ventures interest is relatively small out of that small seed round. The investors were given an equity stake in the company. The details of that were not disclosed, but it's likely a very small percentage of ownership of the Pi network, considering the amount of the funding. And there has been no indication whatsoever of any sale or transfer of the equity stake held by either or any of these investors. So they've got it, they're holding it. And they obviously see some value in the Pi network, but it's not as big as people think it is. It's really not. There is no hint that 137 Ventures, Ulu Ventures, or Designer Fund have any actual interactions with or control over the Pi network or any influence. There's no boards. There's no advisory councils. They are not part of anything that has been published with regards to the daily operations of the Pi network. I will say that there is a Stanford connection, though. Besides the founders being from Stanford, Ulu Ventures was founded by Stanford alums Miriam Rivera and Clint Corver. They are Stanford alums, and they are heavily invested in Stanford projects and in the form of investment. So they are quite active in the Stanford community, and it's no surprise that they invested in Pi Network, which came out of Stanford University. That's really all there is to it. There's been a lot of hype, a lot of speculation, but at the end of the day, the Pi Network quietly raised $800,000 to start their business. And it came from these three companies. And 800,000, I mean, even if you split it all, 3 ways between them, isn't a lot of money. It's a very, very modest investment for a startup in this space. So again, there's not much to see here, but now you know the real story behind 137 Ventures. 137 Ventures is huge. They invest billions and billions of dollars all over the place. But their interest and investment in the Pi network is way overblown. Getting back to my anti-scammer bot. As you know, I had my first win last week, was it? I think. And now people are coming out of the woodwork asking me to help them. And I've currently got 6 people in the bot queue to try to help, 3 of which will unlock this month. Over the weekend, I've done a lot of testing and I've done a lot of tweaking to try to improve every little aspect of the bot to give it the best chance possible. But I will have to reiterate something. I will not share this bot with anyone. Don't ask for the code. Don't ask how it works. You're not going to get that information. This is a very dangerous tool in the wrong hands, and the only one I trust with it is me. Now, whether you trust me is up to you. But I can tell quite a few people do trust me, and I'll do nothing to dissuade you from that. I had somebody reach out to me over the weekend quite urgently asking for help. So I reached out to them and they got back to me. And the first thing they asked was, how can I get your bot? And I told them, I'm not giving you my bot. And then he said that, okay, well, I have passphrases I can give you. And that was the first thing that got my hackles up. What do you mean passphrases? I prefer to work directly with individuals. So that usually only means one passphrase. So where are the multiples? So I pressed them a little further. And it came to light that he is, quote unquote, holding these wallets for other people. Now, I don't know why anybody would give their wallets to be held by anybody else. There's nothing to hold. It's a digital code. What's the purpose? So either these accounts were bought or sold or stolen. And I don't want any part of that. It just got really strange and I didn't like the feel of it. So I backed out and I ended up blocking this guy. I don't want to hear from him anymore. I knew this was going to come. I knew people were going to try to use me to facilitate stealing or other nefarious activities. And I'm doing my best to weed that out. So if I get any inkling at all that something's not right, I will refuse to help you. And I may be wrong, but I'd rather be wrong and not do something to hurt somebody else than to be party to theft. I don't want to do it. And if you come to me and you're legitimately in trouble and I turn you down, I'm sincerely sorry that the result will be you losing your Pi, but I have to protect my reputation and my integrity. And if I'm not entirely sure that this is up on the up and up, I'm not going to touch it. Well, anyway, that's all I've got. As usual, if anything breaks, I'll be sure to hop on and let you know. But until then, don't panic, stay the course, and remember, the success of the Pi network begins with you. Pi to the moon. Peace.